Good morning, babe. So today I'm going to make a video all about my first semester of PA school, just some questions I think some pre-PAs may want to know, and also those who may have gotten accepted recently, just an overall recap of how the first semester was. So if you want to hear more about my experience, just stay tuned. So the first question I have here is if PA school is what I imagined it would be. And honestly, it is and it isn't in a way. So I did imagine that I would be studying all the time and that the classes would be hard per se. But as I started doing the coursework, I realized the classes are hard. It's just a lot of content. Some classes do have more complex topics than others, but they're not necessarily hard yet. But yeah, so yes and no. It is what I expected in the fact that I am studying all the time, and it is classes that have a lot of content to them, but the classes aren't necessarily hard like I thought they would be. It's just time management is your friend. You have to prioritize studying for your harder classes a little bit more, easier classes a little bit less, finding study material, making study material. There's a balance between everything you do, but that's how you're gonna excel in the program. So yes and no, PA school is and is not what I thought it was gonna be. So the next question is, what classes did I take this semester? So I have my schedule here, so I'm just gonna read them to you guys. Okay. So I took Physical Diagnosis 1. This is a tri-semester class, so I'll have two more versions of Physical Diagnosis. I took Pharmacology. I took Clinical Microbiology, Physiology, and Anatomy. Most of these courses were around 3 credits. Anatomy was the heaviest one, and it was around 6 credits. But those are the classes that I took this semester. The next question is, what was my favorite class, or what was my favorite thing that I learned? So oddly enough, my favorite class to study for was Physiology. And this is the class that had the most complex topics because, as you can imagine, there's so many small processes in our bodies, even per cell, per section of your body, like per person. Everything is so different and variable, but it's something about making study guides for that class that I just really enjoyed. Like my last one, let me show you guys. And I use Notability to take all my notes and make study guides and things like that. So that's what app I'm referring to. So for our final exam, which wasn't cumulative, it was exam 4, my study guide was 87 pages long. And you would be surprised, I went through this study guide probably like 5 or 6 times. And that's with watching the videos again and like re-looking at all the slides and making sure I had everything that I thought was important on the study guide. But it's just something about this class. It was just always interesting to me, slide by slide, what I learned. My professor was actually very into insulin. So we did learn a lot about insulin in the last set of slides. So I guess it was exciting to learn because she talked about insulin so much, and I finally learned how it like gets into the cell and does its job. So that's kind of exciting too. But Physiology for some reason was a class I really enjoyed. The next question is, what is your favorite part about PA school? And honestly, I would have to say the people I've met, because I'm one of those people who are big on, I want to learn about different people. I like to be immersed in different experiences, different cultures. So it's definitely the people I've met. A lot of them are from the West Coast. I don't know if you guys know this, but I did live in California for a while in San Francisco, and I did not like it. But it's like the people I'm meeting now who are from that area, they're so different than the people I met when I lived there. So I'm like, why didn't I meet you when I lived there? I probably would have had a lot more fun there. But yeah, it's definitely the people I met, the experiences they had. I'm one of like 5 married people in my class. So even to, you know, be amongst other married couples and people like that, give me a sense of my husband being there, because as you guys know, we're doing long distance for now. So yeah, it's definitely the people I've met, I would say. That's my favorite part about PA school so far. The next question is, what do you recommend we use to study for PA school? And like I said, I use Notability to take all my notes and to make all those study guides. But I do know people who use GoodNotes, and it's kind of the same software system. It's just a place to house all your notes for all your classes. And the PowerPoints too, you can download them and put notes on them and, you know, do whatever you need to really dissect the subject. We didn't have to download any books for my coursework, so I didn't download any books. Sadly, I hardly ever read any chapters because there were some classes that would be like, read this chapter, but I never read any books. PowerPoints were enough in my program. So yeah, the Notability is all that I use, but I definitely would recommend an iPad just because of the ease of like writing on your notes and having them with you all the time. Because I found myself in class after the first week, I didn't even open my laptop in class to take notes. I would just directly put all my notes onto PowerPoints. And then when I made a study guide, as you guys seen, I would just go through slide by slide and just write down everything I figured that was important off that slide. And then I would start studying the study guide. But that's how I studied in school. I know other people study different ways, but I would just recommend downloading Notability or GoodNotes, making sure in class you are attentive and you write your notes onto the PowerPoint slides. That way, if you do happen to go back to your slides, if you're one of those people who type on your laptop, you'll exactly know what she meant by this bullet point or what he meant by that bullet point, because sometimes you'll read it and it doesn't make sense what they actually want you to take away from the slides. So definitely put your notes directly onto your slides. I think that helps you study better. And also, I'm one of the people who like music in the background. I don't know what it is about like coffee ambiance, but I would play in my room all the time, and it just helped me like be laser focused in on studying. So if you guys are one of those people who like music too, then try to use the white noise or the brown noise or just coffee ambiance music. I would do like jazz or something, but it's just like that puts me in the zone. So I recommend music too when you're really trying to focus on something. And also changing your scenery. So I would study on campus in the library all of the time, but on the weekends when I needed to study for a big test coming up next week, I would go to this coffee shop. It's called Alaska Brewing Coffee Shop if you guys live in Miami, but I would go there every Sunday actually and study for about 4 hours just to change like my scenery and get me even more focused in, because it's a coffee shop, it's quiet. Other people were coming there to study, so it just made it, I don't know, better for me. It was more conducive to me studying too. The next question is, how do you make friends while you're in PA school? Honestly, it's just a natural occurring thing. I mean, my program is pretty big. We have 101 students, and on the campus that I go to, because it is a sister campus situation, there's 76 students or 77. So making friends is almost inevitable unless you're just a loner and you don't go to any like you don't volunteer with them, you don't hang around after class and talk to people. And then also when we're in the physical diagnosis setting, you get a partner to do your physical exam on. So you'll have at least one person every couple weeks that you're interacting with and talking to, and you will find friendships in those people. Honestly, you're gonna wanna have a study group because you will not be able to make every study material that you wanna use to study for a test. So you wanna make friends. You wanna have people in your corner that are well-versed in different things. So if there's something you don't understand, they can actually help explain it to you. You're gonna need them at some point in the semester. So making friends is not hard. Just put yourself out there. We're all here to make friends. You know, we all came from different places. Most people don't go to the same PA school as their best friend or anything. So we all need friendship. So just put yourself out there and you'll make friends. And the next question is, do I have any tips to survive your first semester? I do have a few tips. I've given most of them, so download Notability or GoodNotes to help you study. You will thank me in the end. Change your scenery if you need it. Do not stay on campus or stay in your dorm or your apartment trying to study all the time. Take yourself somewhere else and really just lock in. Make friends because you're going to need them at some point in the semester. I don't care how well you think you are at time management. These classes come fast. It's a lot of content, and you want someone who's been staying on top of a class that you may have been falling behind in. Try different study methods. You're going to find that you'll study for different classes differently. So when I first started school, I was just trying to blanket study the same way that I studied for my first master's, but that does not work here. Different classes, I chose different methods, and that seemed to work for me. So just always keep evolving and be flexible because things will change in PA school. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. I mean, you're just starting out. You don't really understand what you're doing yet. So if you do happen to get a test score that is not what you expected or not what you wanted, don't freak out. You have so many other ways to get your score back up. You have a lot of different techniques that I'm sure you haven't tried. So don't beat yourself up, because once you start beating yourself up, you can't study for any other class, and then before you know it, you're dismissed from the program. And as much time as we all put into our pre-PA applications and learning more about the profession and going through these cycles of applying and spending all this money, like, you definitely want to try your best while you're in school. So don't get too down on yourself, because you do have ways to pick yourself back up. Reach out for help with your friends, with your professors, with your advisors. Just reach out for help, because they are there to make sure you get through the program. I mean, honestly, it looks bad on them if a lot of people are failing out of the program. So they definitely want to be there to support you. So the first year, the didactic year, you're on campus a lot. And I chose to live on campus in a dorm, and it just makes the most sense for me. So this semester, it wasn't too bad. Our classes were kind of spread apart, but next semester, you're on campus all freaking day. And you're going to campus super early, leaving super late, so you deal with traffic. But a lot of people can also use that to their benefit. So I guess what I'm saying is that in that first semester, you want a shorter commute, because you're gonna be going to campus a lot of the time. And then the next semester, or the next year, you'll be doing your clinical rotation, so then you'll move off campus. I think this model just works best. Live on campus the first year, move off campus the second. But if you find that your apartment is super close to campus and it's also like central to where your clinical rotations will be, then by all means, go ahead and live off campus. But you just want to cut your commute time if you can, because you do spend a lot of time in class and on campus that first year. I think those are all the tips that I have for you guys about like surviving that first semester or that first year. Just don't beat yourself up and just keep going. As long as you make it through another class, you're good. Just keep going. The next question is there anything that I would change up from this previous semester and next semester? Honestly, I think I did a good job. So I don't know if you guys have watched my previous video, but I did get emotional because I did get a 4.0 this semester. So I feel like my study techniques may have worked. So I want to try them again next semester. But if I see that they're not working and I'm not retaining a lot of information and my test scores are not what I want them to be, I'll definitely switch up my methods and look for other ways to excel in my classes. But I don't think, as far as studying, that there's anything I would change from last semester to the next semester. But we shall see. It's all up for interpretation once the semester starts. The next question is, what was your hardest class this semester? So the hardest class for me, which I know a lot of people are gonna be like, that class was not even that difficult once they see this, physical diagnosis. And it's just because of the way the class was taught. So they would give you a different presenter every week. The presenter can have like upwards of 100 slides, and they wouldn't necessarily go through and say, this is important, that is important, this is important. It's study everything. Study everything, know everything. You need to know everything. So then it becomes 500 slides from weeks and weeks and weeks of content that I'm trying to study and understand what is important for me to know for the test. Then, so that's already like, okay, what's important? How do I study this material and get it in my head? And then I would get to the day of the test, and let's just say the questions were never worded like straightforward. It's not something I read and I was like, oh, I immediately know the answer. It's like, huh? What are they trying to ask me here? And in the first couple weeks of classes, I think either I asked the upperclassmen or I asked the professor before, like, can you clarify questions if we don't understand? And they don't do that. So oftentimes I'm just sitting at my desk, because we did all our tests on the computers. I'm just sitting at my computer like, what do they even mean by this question? And then oftentimes I would get it wrong. So yeah, physical diagnosis had like lecture exams, and then they had a performative exam where we would do the exam on other people. I always did well on that part, but the lecture exams, not so much. So to me, that was the hardest class, because I just didn't know where to go with the content. And like I said, it's a 3-part class, so I have to take it 2 more times. So let's hope now next semester I will know how to study for the lecture portion of the class. So the next question is, how do I feel about the faculty or staff at my current program? I think they're really nice. The faculty and staff, they're all there to help us. You can tell they want us to make it through to the end. They don't ever discourage us. Even sometimes we'll have technical difficulties before taking the test, and the professor will be like, no, everyone calm down, stay calm, you guys are gonna do well. It didn't help me all the time, because I would still sometimes be a little bit frazzled, so I couldn't think straight. But the fact that they tried to diffuse the situation so I could still do my best was always a good indicator. They always kept us abreast too if anything was changing in our program, like, oh, you guys are not taking this course anymore. Or, oh, there's a hurricane and it's about to possibly hit our school, so we're gonna shut down both campuses. Like, they were always on top of things, and they're always accessible too. Because there's like an administrator that's always around that you can ask questions to if you did have any questions about the program. Now, the only place that they really dropped the ball is there was one test that I did not perform as well as I thought I would have, and I wanted to speak to my advisor about it. And my advisor kept pushing back the date that I could see my test so we can go over it, because the way my program works, your advisor can show you your exams. You can't just naturally go back into your exam and see it after everyone's has been graded. So I reached out to them to see my exam, and they pushed it back to the point where at this point I was about to take my final exam for the lecture portion of that class, so it didn't matter to me anymore to see the test. But yeah, that's the only place last semester that I would say my faculty and staff dropped the ball. But other than that, they've been on top of everything, and they made the transition from, you know, not studying, not being in school to being a PA school much better for me. The next question is, will I have time for my personal life while in PA school? I would say you'll have time for anything you want to do as long as you make time for it. So you can't just wake up and say, oh, I'm gonna study until such and such and such and such. You'll end up studying the entire day, you know? So you really have to put into your schedule that I'm gonna work out at these hours, because if not, honestly, you could study through those hours too. Or I'm gonna make dinner at this hour, or I'm gonna go to my friend's house at this hour. You really just have to put it in your mind, like at that point, I'm gonna take a study break, because you can literally study the entire day. So yeah, you have to make time for the things that you still want to do. Like I still want to make YouTube videos. So sometimes I'm like, okay, well, let's just start recording now. Okay, start editing now. I still want to hang out with my friends. So it's like, okay, let's go out at this time. It's like in between test taking. It's a time where I know we're all kind of like want ease of mind. So let's go out at this day, at this time. So just make time for it and you can still do it. I know people who still work out every day, people who still cook themselves meals every day. Whatever is going to help you decompress in this program, you want to keep doing that. So yeah, you definitely have time for your extracurriculars as long as you make the time to do them. The next question is, can I have a job while in PA school? No, 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 no. I would not recommend you try to work while you're in PA school unless you can do like a PRN. And even that is like, well, what if they call you in, you have a big test the next day, then you're gonna be saying no all the time, and then they're gonna take you off the schedule anyway. So it's just like, I wouldn't recommend working. And I'm a person who's worked all throughout schooling. So when I got my undergraduate degree, I had a job on campus, a job off campus. Got my first master's, I was still working full-time somewhere. So I'm used to working during school, but this program, specifically PA school, I just do not see how you have time for a job, especially a job that you're expecting to pay major bills. You will not have time for that. So I personally would not recommend it. And I know other programs also kind of frown upon you trying to work, because this is not a secondary thing. This is your career. So you really want to take the time and focus. So I wouldn't have a job, but it's all on you. You know, I just wouldn't do it. Another question I see here is about the attendance policy. And you do have to attend every class for my program. It is mandatory. We have like a small survey before every class that just asks, are you present? Attendance is mandatory for my program. And my final tip for you guys, because there are questions about should you take off certain days and not do any school-related materials? Yes, my day was on Fridays. Even one of my professors recommended we take Friday off and don't do anything school-related. So that's a tip I have for you guys. Do not study or do any school-related content on Fridays. Try to enjoy that day. You can sleep the entire day, but you just want to enjoy it, because Saturday and Sunday you will be studying like no other. So just take a day, go out to dinner, make your food, go to the movies, do whatever you want to do, but just try to have fun. And that's my final tip for surviving your first semester or first year of PA school. I'm happy you guys stayed tuned to the end of this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, bye babes.